Today's the big day. My clamp finally arrived, and now I can pull the damage. Woohoo! Let's do it! The chain was just long enough to reach the other side. I think if it was one link shorter, it wouldn't have made it. But the whole theory of this is that this is pretty much the anchor, so this isn't going to move. When the ram pulls inward, this will just get more slack, and then this should stay tight over here, and this should stay tight over here as well. Because I didn't have another second chain to use for this side. So let's pull it.
Spare yourself by not getting involved in their dreams, cause sometimes you can hear people in there as they scream. Rip the walls, break the screen, make them crawl.
Alright, that was cool and all, but by the time the ram reached its maximum pulling distance, that's when it actually started barely working on this side. I'll try to see if I can move it a couple links, but we'll see. It's very heavy. Okay, this is not going well at all. I just tried pulling and it seems like it didn't really do anything. I think it was actually pulling the entire car, and I was surprised because this metal here is not very thick at all compared to everything else that I'm using. And I just thought, you know, the weight of the car and whatever, it would pull it out. But as it turns out, it's a lot stronger than I thought. Hopefully I won't have to send too much damage to the frame straightening people, because they're definitely going to charge over $1,000 for this in my opinion, which is still in budget, but I just would rather not. My option now is, my clamp is really big and it would be nice to put it like right here, because this is where a lot of the damage is. But for now, this is the only place I could put it. So now I'm going to move it to this side over here and pull and see what happens.
Spare yourself by not getting involved in their dreams, because sometimes you can hear people in there as they scream.
Alright, that definitely did something this time, because when I relieve the pressure on the ram, the chain is a lot more slack this time. So as I saw, this did pull it out just a tiny bit. And that's all that's needed. I mean, it went back into its normal position is what I'd say, like before the crash. This part here is more straight up and down than it was before. The reason why it didn't work very well the first time was because this area right here has much thicker metal, like twice as thick. So it's not really super surprising that this moved and that didn't. I really need this to actually be straight in order to ever get a clamp onto this part. So I've got this hooked up in a way that'll give it a lot more torque when I pull on it. Last time I just had it straight on it, so it wasn't really going to give it much torque. So I am pretty sure that this will do something to it, and that's all I need. If it can just move a tiny bit, then that means I can move it all the way. So let me just see what happens. Alright, I pulled it like a million times, but I don't know if it even moved it at all. It still looks pretty much the same. So I moved the car forward. When I moved it, it really already tensioned up the chain. So if anything, this will really be a good pull. And if I don't see any movement in this one, then really there's nothing left. I'm like way out of options. I'm gonna have to start just disassembling it as it is, and then like hammer out the pieces on a workbench or something. I'm sure the car is going to try to move around a lot, so I've got one wheel chock right here and one on the back wheel. Hopefully everything works out and we see some pull. Now I understand why it's so important to have an actual frame straightener, because for one, the car was moving when I pulled it, and another is that it's just so hard to, I have the tractor here, it's hard to position it, and it just took like half an hour to set all this up. And if you want to move anything, it just takes forever. So it has rained a little bit. Good job, Rain. You've made my engine bay look a lot better. So the next part is to drill out the spot welds on this little piece here, because this is the piece that's screwing everything up. And I can't pull this damage because this thing is so strong that it won't even let itself be bent. So it just definitely has to be removed. Well, that sucks. I just drilled through both layers of the steel. I only wanted to drill through one, but there wasn't any way of knowing when I had only drilled through one. I'll just have to figure out how to like patch this up with some steel on the inside or something. I don't know. I got a welder, so I can figure that out, but I don't want to mess it up like that again. Wow, I thought cutting out spot welds would be easy, but this is just painfully hard. Every time I'm drilling, the blade just keeps slipping all over the place, and it's drilled this just ugly and nasty giant hole. At the rate that everything's going out with these things, it's going to take all day, and that's not going to happen because I don't have that patience. So I've switched to a regular drill bit, and I'm just going to drill it out that way. As long as I don't drill through it like I did here, then I should be okay. I think I just figured it out. You can see that there's a ring here, and from here up, that is the first layer, and then beyond that is the second. Once this piece is off, I'm sure pulling the rest of the damage will be a lot easier. Day 2. The apron looks a lot straighter than what it was when we started, so that's like really cool. But whenever we pull it, the car also tries to like body roll over. It's not getting the full amount of pull that we want to give it. So what we're going to do is take the bucket of the tractor and press it up against the pinch weld that's down here. So when we pull on the car from the tractor, they can't come closer. This should really be like the end all be all of solutions. That's how we're going to pull it. Check it out. We've got the bucket lined up against the car so it won't move, and then the chain is connected to the tractor. If this doesn't move it, I don't know what will.
Restless, lonely one, commence the holy run. The centerpiece you want is nothing but the sun. Broken, penniless, you feel inadequate. There's not much you can do except your world is blue.
As you can see, this fender apron looks a lot better. I'll try to show like a before shot, but it is so much straighter. I think the big thing is that on the inside here, that part that's crooked needs to actually be straight. You see how it's straight, and the outside is straight here as well. So obviously I need to move this inner part out, which is not really possible by moving the outside out. I'm thinking I will wrap a nylon strap through here, a really heavy duty one that can pull 10 tons. And maybe I'll remove this so it's not all the pressure's on these bolts, but it'll go through here, and under here I'll have to remove the shock to do that. And then with our homemade frame puller, we can pull this out. It's a bit risky. This could be damaged if I tried to pull it, but I think that's how I'm going to go about it. Here's something that I noticed when I was taking apart the bumper that I didn't show on camera before. So this is a part of the bumper. As you can see, all these holes line up with different parts on the body of the car. And then once we get right here, the last bolt on the end is actually off. See how it's not aligned? It should be there, but it's over here. when I set this down. That means that this part of the car does need to go this way as well, which is true because I measured the diagonals. So I think one of the pulls I can do with that nylon strap is wrap it around right here and pull it this way. Like every video, I'm always trying to make progress, and again, I made a lot of progress here, and I'm very happy, as I should be at every single end of the video. I know I took out some of the spot welds on this piece here. It hasn't really moved around when we actually started really pulling this piece, so it's probably okay. It's probably still stuck there pretty good. I can just weld in the divots that I created and then smooth it out and then paint over it, and it will be fine. Also, I'm sorry I didn't get to show the welder. There just wasn't any use to put it in this episode. There's one thing you should know though, and that's in the beginning, there was a lot more stuff to do when I got the car, but now there's only one thing that I have to do in order to be able to do anything else, and it's just fix the frame damage. And this is a lot harder to do than all the other stuff that I've been doing. So essentially, videos will be coming out a little bit slower than they usually will be. Sorry, it's not that I'm not doing anything. I think about the car every single day, and I'm always trying to do something better to it, but it just takes a lot of time to do this. But this car will be finished. I'm never going to just give up on this car. I'm too determined. So if you subscribe and click the notification bell, then you will be informed when I make the next video. So thanks for watching and have a good day.